Okay, looks like folks are coming in. So first, I want to wish everyone well out there. I hope you're staying safe and healthy and finding creative ways to stay occupied and enjoy a little bit of summer here in Minnesota. As always, our Bulldog coffee break is sponsored by the Duluth Coffee Company. So Emmy will have a tumbler and some coffee headed down to Cannon Falls for you.
Yay.
Thank you for being our guest today. We're super fortunate to have Emi Trost with us. I was lucky enough that my time overlapped with Emi's a bit, and I was able to watch her develop and see the great success that she had as a Bulldog and she can rattle off the accolades far better than I, but just a great human being, incredibly committed to her craft of running and also representing the 3Cs, classroom commuting competition, as well as any of us could hope. And I can't remember how many times she's been an All-American, but it's probably higher than I can count. So with all of that, we're going to get right into it with Emi today. And Emi, so this is the third coffee break with the Bulldogs. You are our third consecutive professional athlete. You're the first student athlete that I had the opportunity to work with directly as athletic director, but you're also our first national champion. So I think that that puts you in some pretty good pedigree. But let's just start off with, give us an update about what you've been up to since moving on and getting your degree a few years ago.
Yeah. So graduated 2018, so 2 years ago, and kind of took some time off, kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But one of the things that I realized at my time at UMD was that not only do I love running, but that I had some success in running, and I wanted to see kind of where my potential could lead. And so I think it was really exciting to think about there's other options after college. And so I started to look into other teams in the area, and I went to a run pro camp out east, and basically it kind of taught me like what running as a professional is going to look like, and what other opportunities are out there as far as networking, learning how to work with race directors, what being present on social media looks like, and kind of how to grow not just as like an athlete, but as a person, to kind of not put all your eggs in one basket and kind of be well-rounded. So I attended that right out of college, and just kind of like, I don't know what this whole professional running world thing looks like, how people navigate it. It's very different than, if you get drafted in football or in baseball. It's kind of a very clear path outlined for you. And so for me, it was kind of unknown as far as like, where am I going to go? And what is that going to look like? So I had some previous experience with a coach in high school who was right here in Minnesota. His name was Chris Lundstrom, and he helped me a little bit in high school, learning drills and how to actually really do workouts. And so I just kind of learned a lot through him. And so I had a previous connection there, and he coaches a team right here in the Twin Cities called Minnesota Distance Elite. Mainly marathoners, but there's a few track people on the team as well. And so I talked to him, he was amazing. And so I joined the team in July. And so kind of since then, gone through some kind of rocky things with my health, kind of figuring all of that out. But overall, it's like you join a team and you train with them. Certain teams are going to have certain benefits for their athletes, whether there's a shoe company involved. Some of them are sponsored by Brooks or Nike. Ours is sponsored by a lot of local companies. So Twin Cities in Motion, Twin Cities Orthopedics, Twin Cities Running Company, those kind of things sponsor us. We can have our own individual sponsors too, along with that. And so as an athlete, you're kind of your own business. And you're kind of your own entrepreneur in that. And so that's kind of been a very a good learning experience for me is how to kind of build my support team over these past couple years and really like kind of develop for the future. Professional runners usually will shoot for peaking kind of in their late 20s, early 30s, depending on the event. And so really your job is to prepare for opportunities, and being a part of a team here gives me that opportunity to travel and to race and to have some really good competition. But it's a lot of upfront work. It's a lot of behind the scenes gritty stuff going on that you don't always like see when you're not playing games a ton.
Sure.
Your races are spread out. So yeah, I've been training with them kind of off and on through some things, but really just kind of like growing my support network, PTs, chiropractors, sports nutritionist, sports psychologist, kind of the whole team package that really is just going to be like the foundation for springboarding me into what I want to do in coming years. So
That's awesome. Well, we're excited. We know you've got a lot of runway ahead of you. And I remember in May of 2017 when you were at your peak, and I know you had to battle through some injuries that came along after, but it sounds like you're probably on the backside of those. But back in May of 17, when you won the D2 1500, frankly, at a time that I believe was better than the D1 time, take us through that race. I mean, I was so lucky to be there and to see that. And I distinctly remember how warm it was in South Florida that day. But take us through that race. I mean, what a special moment, a period or an event that added to our legacy of incredible achievement in track and field. And walk us through that race. Give the folks that are with us today the opportunity that very few people have had, and tell us about that race through your eyes and your emotions.
Yeah. Oh man. So when I was in high school, I had a teammate that would cheer for me all the time. SC, standing for state champ. I kind of thought it was ridiculous at the time. I was like, no, I'm never going to be a state champ. Like, it's not going to happen, and then kind of gradually, like, you just kind of keep getting better every year. And then you think, oh, maybe, and so then went off to college, and that same teammate from high school would then say NC national champ. I'm like, oh, Kelsey, I don't know if I can, be a national champ. Like, this is a tall order. But as the years kind of like progressed, and I never made huge jumps, I would say, in my athletic performance. It was just very consistent work every single year that kind of led up to that point. And I had a really good cross country season where I finished 4th in cross country. And cross country is not necessarily my like favorite, like strong, like distance wise. A 6K is really hard. I loved cross country for the team and the family, but a 6K was pushing it for me. But after that performance, I was like, man, like, I belong up here with these girls, and I think I can really do something special in track and field where it is more so my distance. So then indoor track and field, I had a really good DMR mile split, and I like saw my mile split at the end, which was a 4:35, I think was the split. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like that's the fastest I've ever run. And it kind of like opened my eyes, I guess, to see that I could run some really, really fast times. So I wanted to do that in the mile that year indoors. And I was so tired from the DMR. I had nothing left in me. My calves hurt so bad. And so I got second in the mile in the indoors. And so I was like, okay, outdoors, it's go big or go home. Like, we're not holding anything back. I had the opportunity or the option to also run the 800 at nationals. But I decided not to because I really wanted to focus on the 15 and kind of just shoot for it and give it everything I had. So it was in Florida. It was really hot out. Of course, you have prelims, so you have to navigate getting through the first round smartly. So you're not like exerting yourself like past what you can do, but also like being safe and secure in your spot and not messing up and not getting into the final, which would have been hard. So got through the prelim, and I think that was on a Thursday. And then I think I had a day in between. So I had Friday to kind of recover. And then Saturday was the final. I think it may have been like around 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock. So it's still pretty hot out. So warming up, trying to keep cold water or a towel on you to try to keep cool. Some athletes had like a vest they had ice packs in it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I got to get myself one of those next time. So yeah, we just stayed cool, did my like normal warm up. And I knew that when a lot of my racing strategies kind of up till then was like, just go out hard. Pacing has never been like probably one of my strong points. I go hard. I like to go hard right out the bat. And I knew that I wanted to be in a good position to actually really get a good time. And I knew that there was a meet record on the line too. So I wanted to see how close I could get to that and push it. I think my best time that year was a 4:13 that I had done at Mount Sac. And that was with some pretty stiff competition, a lot of professional runners for Nike and that kind of stuff. So I knew I wanted to get faster than that. And to do that, I needed to go fast. So the 1500, you start on a straightaway, which is really nice because you have 100 meters to get in good position before, you have a curve and you're cutting in. So started out right away and just like, I got to get in front of people before the curve. That was like the first goal. And then to just accelerate around the curve, come into the back stretch. And then that first lap, I don't really think counts in a 1500. So really 1500, you just think 3 laps around the track. So once you kind of come around there, you're like, okay, race has started, 3 laps to go. Let's kind of see what we got. That lap, you just kind of stay super smooth and relaxed. And I wasn't running with anyone. And I think after the first like 200 meters, everyone told me after, they're like, yeah, you dropped them with like, within the first 150, 200. So it really was just kind of me and the clock for a while. And, I usually use my ears a lot in races, so I can hear spikes on the track or the ground, and I can kind of judge based on like the sound, kind of where they are. I don't think that it's smart to look back during a race,
Sure.
but I could kind of tell where they were. And that can kind of keep you going too. You're just like, okay, don't get caught, if you're the rabbit, don't get caught. And so then, come around and the 800 to go is always probably the hardest part, because you think, oh man, I'm like halfway done and, this is starting to really hurt and you're breathing hard and it's hot. But the crowd was really amazing. I remember hearing the crowd. Like normally you can kind of just, you're like tunnel vision and you're just like you and your breath and your feet hitting the ground, but I could really hear the crowd. And then, bell lap's kind of one of my favorite parts of the race. You come up on the guy that's getting ready to ring the bell, and it just kind of like shoots new like fire under your feet, and you're like, well, almost like electrified, and you're like, okay, here we go, like 1 lap to go. And I kind of knew like the last lap was going to make it or break it, that I was close, that I was like, my splits were on. And so if I nailed the last lap, I would get a really good time. So you kind of like get electrified at the bell lap, and then it can be easy as you come around the curve with 300 to go to kind of settle right back into your old pace, but you have to kind of fight that urge. And I was like, no, don't settle back down. Just keep driving, like keep accelerating. Cause you only have 300, like you're so close. And coming around the curve, I saw some teammates and, heard some cheering, and then like right on the home stretch, I remember hearing the announcer like say like, oh, let's bring her home, folks. And said, watch the clock. You may have a record. And when he said that, I was like, okay, you really got to go now. So that was really cool that I remember hearing that. I don't always hear things during races, but I heard that and I was like, okay, bring it home. And then, across the line, and there's something weird about being the first person across the line, because there was no one else around me. And so you stop and you kind of, take a breath, put your hands on your knees, and then you wait, and then you turn around and everybody kind of comes in after you and you can congratulate them and stuff. But you're like, there was like no one in front of me. And it was very weird feeling. especially after like kind of my disappointments from indoor of like, you know, barely missing out and like not quite catching the leader both times. That was really special to finally do, and to be like the one to be on the top of the podium was just, it was really special. So and the time was, I was happy with the time too. Sometimes, you know, in championship races you go, okay, just race for the place, like you don't need to go for a fast time. And you know, there's certain situations where you definitely do that, you more tactical racing. I did not want to do a tactical race, and I'm glad I didn't, because that's one of my fastest times. And I think in a race, like I had to go out and just go for it and see what I had. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, but it definitely worked out.
Yeah, for sure. That was I've been around a lot of really cool events in sports, and that was certainly one of the neatest that I've been around. And before we chatted, I just shared a photo that I had taken of Emmy crossing the finish line. Although I was off by 100th of a second, I was 100th of a second early, so she's got some video proof that her time may have been even a little faster.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I would share with you, I mean, that you probably aren't aware of, in by no means was the comment that I'm going to relay to you from somebody else specific to you. But for those that aren't aware of the details of this race, Emmy won by about a lap. It was just a dominant performance. And I remember as I was somewhere around the finish line hearing someone, and I don't know who it was, but they were affiliated with the program, advocating to one of the NCAA officials that Emmy be tested for doping, because not because they suspect Emmy in any way, but because her performance was frankly that dominant. And those of you that are in the track space understand doping's a complicated issue, and it's been a problematic one for distance and sprinters and cycling as well. And we all know Emmy has the strongest of ethics, if you know her at all. But it's an anecdote that shows how dominant a performance it was that day. And congratulations to you on that moment, and for what you've done for the Bulldog track and field legacy with that achievement. And we know there's plenty more championships ahead, and that was a really cool, for me as an athletic administrator, to have the opportunity to be there and watch that live was just so cool. And I know how much work our student athletes put into success. And I think you embody hard work, you embody commitment to the classroom and all of those things. So I think the reason that many of us who know the athletes enjoy the success is we know what's gone into it, and it gives our fans and our supporters a reason to be proud, because they also know how much goes into it. So good stuff. And it's so neat to hear that story through your eyes. So let me rewind even further. Tell us about how you came to UMD. I know your dad went to school up here, but
Yep.
tell us how you ended up a Bulldog.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was in high school. So I was, if anyone doesn't know, I was home educated in high school. And so I had the opportunity to run for our local cross country and track and field team. So when I was in high school, I started getting a bunch of letters sent, but most of them were sent to the school. And then like every week I would, you know, pick up all the letters that were sent from these colleges. And, you know, as an oldest, and we never had done this before, my parents and I were kind of, this is a crazy world. Like we're, you know, you can actually run in college, and you can, you know, you can get scholarships, and how does this work? And so I kind of started just basically reaching out, figuring out like, okay, how far away do I want to go? You know, how big of a school do I want to look at? And then just start visiting and seeing what happens. And so I, you know, kind of narrowed it down to some schools, and I visited UMD two different times, I think. And I had been used to coming up to Duluth just because, yeah, my dad went to UMD, and I mean, we had Bulldog stuff everywhere, you know, in our home. So literally have grown up a Bulldog. And so like Duluth was just a super comfortable town to start with. And then, you know, when I visited the school and walked around, and they had my major exercise science that I was interested in, I just felt so like at peace about like I can see myself here. And I loved the outdoorsy feel of the trails, and to be able to like run and also like have school paid for was huge for me. Like I have three brothers, and all of us have had to be responsible for our college education and pay for our schooling, and so that was something that was really important to me. So kind of all the kind of pieces just fit together, and I just knew that this was the right decision for me. And yeah, it was so fun being a Bulldog. Like I'm a very proud alum, and it's been really cool just to kind of stay connected with people there, and see the track get redone, and some of the like the indoor facility get redone too, and just kind of to see things keep progressing in that way. So yeah, I just was like home. Like I knew it was home right away, and that's probably the best way to describe it. Is just it was so homey, and yeah, loved it.
Good. Well, that's certainly what we want to hear, and certainly for those of us that are on campus all the time, and for all of our supporters and fans, that's exactly how we'd like to describe it, and home. And I wish we could have gotten the outdoor track redone and the indoor space redone before you moved on, but it's great to see now we're scheduled once again as the world figures things out. We're scheduled to host the 2021 Conference Outdoor Championship. That facility is in fabulous shape and so exciting, and planning and hoping that comes together again for our student athletes to have the opportunity to compete for a conference championship on the same track that they practice on, which is really exciting stuff. So what I like to do with some of these is throw a couple of our exit interview questions at you. So if you would describe what was the best part of your Bulldog experience?
I would have to say like the people that I was around. Like I still get together with a lot of the captains that were captains with me my junior and senior year, and one of my teammates at UMD is actually my teammate now on our Minnesota Distance Elite team. So that's also fun just to kind of like have memories with them. And actually I was just going through pictures the other day and looking at all of the pictures from our training runs and the meets and everywhere we traveled and the places that we saw and the memories that we built. It was just like, wow, we did so much and we went so many cool places. So all those opportunities and all those memories with people, like that was so fun. Like, winning, that was amazing. Like I'm never going to diminish that at all. But, the mini golf that we played when we were down in Florida, and
Sure.
the places we went to eat and just like explored and discovered. And yeah, like we got to even meet people from other teams. And like, I'm still super close to people that I met from, Cedarville, and she competes now. She trains in Colorado, and, we're chatting about, hey, maybe we can have an altitude training camp together or something for a month, or, just stuff like that. Like all of a sudden your world just expands. And, and I know runners just all over the country just by, the opportunities there. So yeah. And then just like the running in Duluth, the trails, the beautiful lake, like I missed running up there. I really do. that was so awesome. And yeah, and I was very supported in my education too. And that was like, I still have contact with some of the professors too, like for letters of recommendation. And that's also been really, really good. I feel like I got a really good foundation there for kind of launching into the next path of my educational journey. So I feel like, yeah, just the people, the support, and the memories probably kind of all combined and intertwined and
Sure.
supporting each other. So
That's great stuff. And that's, what we would hope to create an environment where you have those opportunities to have that experience. And if there's a student athlete that I've known that seized all those opportunities and capitalized on them, Emmy, it certainly was you with what you've done. We're so proud. Before I jump into the next question, so the folks that are on, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat.
yeah.
We'd love to keep Emmy on her toes here. Thrilled that she's wearing her Bulldog pride today.
Yes.
So it's, and love those legacies of whether they're parents or other family members that have been part of the Bulldog. We just love Bulldog family, love to see that permeate through. I will pause also for those of you that don't know what a DMR is. That's the distance medley relay. I'm showing off about this much of my track knowledge. But I know, as I told Emi before, I know just enough to be dangerous in the track space, but
Yes.
that's what the DMR is. So I just thought I'd close that loop. So talk about a challenging experience, whether it was injury or just the amount of workload, but something as a student athlete. I think every successful student athlete has a time where there's so much on their shoulders. Maybe they're hurt, maybe it's academics that they're just down. Talk about how, and I know you've had some injuries that have nagged you, but talk about how you've battled through those, and then maybe that adversity has turned into something that you're using now, because you've got some pretty significant aspirations, and we think you're going to have some tremendous success ahead. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So throughout my college years, I actually had some like really chronic calf pain and lower leg problems that I kind of managed. There was off and on, but kind of looking back, I don't really remember a time where my calves weren't always hurting. And so I raced through things. I pushed super hard. It was kind of like a non-negotiable for me. Like, I'm going to do this, no matter what. And so then right out of college, I just kept having those problems. And so, with some of the support that I had with my team, I was able to go see a doctor, and I was diagnosed with a rare vascular condition called popliteal artery entrapment syndrome. And basically what that is it's a congenital syndrome where I just didn't know about it, until you start running and training a lot. But the muscles right behind your knee joint can compress your popliteal artery and vein that go in, like, they're like the main blood suppliers to your lower leg. So anytime, my foot was in plantar flexion, which is toes pointed, I was getting a lot of blood cut off, significant actually. And so without proper blood flow, you can't recover. You train and you damage your tissues, and you need that blood supply to replenish. So that was kind of I didn't, it explained a lot, but it also was kind of a big step forward in getting it taken care of. So I had surgery for that in February 2019. So not this past February, but the February before that. And they removed a small muscle behind my knee that was doing most of the compression, my plantaris. I took anatomy. I do not remember the plantaris muscle. So also learned a little bit about all of that and kind of what that does. So went through a lot of physical therapy for that. And it was amazing. Like, I could feel my calves working again, getting stronger, and I wasn't getting numbness or cramping or tingling, just really weird sensations, and could finally kind of run without getting sore calves all the time. So that was amazing to kind of figure all that out. But it was really hard because my whole senior year, I was just kind of riddled with that pain. And I was coming off of such a high from my junior year. I was like, this is me. I'm going to win cross country. I'm going to win the indoor mile. I'm going to win the 15 again. Like, we're just going to do a sweep this year. I was so excited for it all. And then that pain and that injury kind of stopped me in my tracks. And it was so frustrating because at the time I just thought that I had an injury that I couldn't get rid of. And sure. I didn't realize that it was there was actually something wrong, an underlying issue that I had no clue about. So that kind of whole year, well, I guess a year and a half, was spent kind of trying to figure it out. And I was cross training a lot in the pool, learned a lot of diligence, being in the pool for hours, staring at the wall every day. And I was like so happy though that I was the last person to qualify for the 800 outdoors for nationals. Like, that was just so special. I was like, I don't even care how I do. I just wanted to go and finish out my years as a Bulldog at nationals. So it was not my best race, but it was probably about as good as I could do with about
Sure.
10 miles of running a week. So that was really hard. And I think it's been also hard just kind of launching into my professional career, where a lot of other athletes, coming out of college, they kind of automatically like get into races, and then that gives them then the next opportunity of,
Right.
oh, you can sign with a shoe company now, and you can do all this kind of stuff. And I've just kind of had a gap in that, where I haven't been racing. I haven't had consistent training for a while, to kind of give me that kind of next level of opportunity. And so a lot of the stuff, I've gotten incredible support kind of more locally, which has been huge and very important to my success, and kind of getting that healing process advanced to where I need to be. But it's still also really hard, seeing other people that haven't had these big setbacks, kind of at the place that I wanted to be right now. But, and then kind of as of recently, just learning of another condition that I have that I'm going to need to be taken care of soon, that I was born with. I have a hemangioma tumor inside my knee joint, and it swells up. It gets really painful often, and it's just something that I've dealt with since I was 11. I think we found out about it, but there wasn't treatment for it back then, and so I just kind of dealt with it. Not standing for long periods of time, just keep ice on it. There'd be times before, warming up for a race, I'd have to really keep compression on it, otherwise I wouldn't be able to bend my knee, and I'm like, kind of have to bend my knee to run. So I've managed it, but the doctors are really suggesting that I get this tumor out kind of sooner than later. So we're kind of going to go down another road that I did not anticipate and did not want. And it can be hard because I didn't choose to have these conditions. I didn't choose to be born with this kind of stuff. And it's hard to like think, oh, I'm just getting another setback, and but really, like, if I think about, okay, my calves are so much better now. That wasn't a step back, that was a step forward in where I want to be. And with this now, it's like, oh, I can actually probably sleep at night without intense pain, and this will be another step forward in the direction that I want to go. And I think my coach is always telling me, he's like, you're young, like, just be patient and give yourself some time to figure some of this stuff out. Like, you're not the only athlete that has come out of college and needs to take some time to kind of figure out some life stuff. And for me, it's just, that's also been a lot of health stuff. So it's been a journey. It's been a lot of rehab. It's been a lot of very unglamorous exercises. People see the races and they see the times and all that's like amazing, and they don't see the hours that I spend doing calf raises and glute bridges and all those exercise, all those like kind of little, they seem little, but they're so important to getting me to that level again. So I just think, like, and my coach has said this too, is that if you were able to do what you were able to do with these things,
right,
if you have help and you have support and you can remove this kind of roadblock from your path, like, just imagine like what could happen. And so that gets me really excited. Like, I have super high goals still, and just to kind of think about the possibility, like, it may not work, but I'm going to hold on to all hope that it does and give it my best shot, because that's like what I do as an athlete, as a person. I give it my best shot every time.
for sure. No, and I can personally attest to that. And I think what gets lost sometimes, with, to your point, people see the races, they see the results, but particularly at the pro level, there's so much that goes into it, and there's a lot of setbacks. And as you mentioned earlier, in particularly distance running, the peak period is quite a bit down the road for you from an age perspective. So I think we're all confident that those of us that know you, that you're going to battle through it, and that you'll finish stronger, and you're going to reach those pretty lofty goals. So tell us what is the ultimate goal for Emi Trost from a competitive running standpoint? What is your goal down the road, and what do you want to get to?
Yeah. So goals are always kind of changing, especially as things get updated, and races right now aren't happening because of COVID, and so there's a lot of people adjusting their goals. But I think kind of the ultimate goal would be to get to represent the U.S. on some sort of level, whether that's at the Olympics or World Championships. Just kind of to have some national competition. That also gets me excited too, to kind of have some really hard competition out there and kind of see what I could do against that when I'm fit and healthy and everything's kind of clicking. So goal, in the next couple months is to kind of get back into some consistent training, and just kind of start stacking the bricks to build the brick wall again. I think mine's kind of starting from scratch. I've built a lot, but I've got to keep building so I can get to the level that I want to be able to get ready to race again. I think right now there's probably going to be spring races happening because the Olympics got postponed till next year. And so it kind of makes the typical cycle of, some indoor races, some outdoor races to qualify, and then the Olympics kind of different. And so it'll be interesting to see what other people do, what the window of qualifying time is going to be. I mean, it's really all up in the air, which is it's nice because I don't feel like I'm missing out on a ton of races right now because no one else is racing. At the same time, it's okay, I also have to allow the appropriate amount of time for recovering from this kind of thing, which it's so rare. I can't find anything about anyone what the prognosis is for recovery, much less a prognosis for an athlete.
Sure.
So it'll be really interesting kind of to see what that looks like. So goals kind of after that long term is next year to get a qualifying time to run at the Olympic trials may not be a possibility as far as just time. I just may not have enough time to get there.
Sure.
But next fall, there's a lot of road races, road miles that you can do. And there's a road mile circuit. So if you run in all these road miles and you add up your places, you can be the overall champion of all the road miles. So that's kind of a cool thing to do too. That's maybe off the track. It usually is in the fall. So maybe some of those next summer. I think next summer getting into racing again will be kind of the goal. Depending on what my coach says and where he thinks I'm at. But I'd love to train for, the road miles, the 1500 and the 800. My time goals are pretty lofty, but I want to break 2 minutes in the 800. So,
wow.
Well, she's only 4 seconds away. It's okay, 4 seconds in an 800 is a long time. It's hard to do. So I shouldn't say it's not a long time. It's just very hard to do once you are in that short of a distance. And then 1500, I want to get down to a 404-ish, kind of get down there. But I'd also be happy with a 202 or a 409, kind of goal B maybe. But that would be kind of my goal. There's also an opportunity to do race circuits in Europe. So you can do something called the Diamond League, and you can just go over to Europe and hop around and race at really big stadiums and incredible competition, fast times. That would be really, really fun to do the Diamond League stuff. So
that's great. That's good stuff. We wish you all the luck in the world. Question from the chat here. Dr. Castleberry from the business school, whom I know wants to know, how has COVID impacted, and you talked about it a little bit on the goal side, but maybe your training and your plan?
Yeah, so COVID, I was in the pool a lot before COVID hit, and then gyms shut down. And so then I wasn't able to be in the pool as much. So that was really, really hard. Just kind of took away my main modality of cross training. But I actually got really into doing like yoga videos and doing some cross training with that. And so that was a really good thing that kind of happened is just like my balance and flexibility improved so much over the past couple months that it's like, oh, okay, well, this is something I'm going to keep doing, even after gyms open back up and I can get into the pool again. And so that was good. But really the only thing that COVID's like really affected is mainly people trying to race and they're trying to have events and stuff. And so affected my teammates probably a lot more than me. Whereas like for me, it just like really affects just some of like those day in and day outs of training. I guess the other thing is that my strength, I do strength training at the training house in Egan. It's kind of connected to the Vikings training facility. And so when COVID hit, I wasn't able to strength train as a group with them anymore. And so that was kind of a bummer, kind of having to do a lot of that stuff on my own. And, my one chiropractor was still open. My other healthcare professionals, they were not. Yep. So I wasn't able to get in and see them often. So I guess that was maybe another aspect of like, oh, this is just hard. I feel like, I worked so hard to kind of get my whole support team around me. And I had like schedules in between all my work, like, okay, here's my appointment. Here's when I go do my strength training and I go to this place at this time of day. And so it's all planned out. And then when COVID hit, it was all gone. But I was still able to do some things virtually, like work with a sports psychologist. So that was also good. I kind of started that during COVID, which was nice. And it's easy to do over Zoom chat. So yeah, some good and some bad, I guess, some tricky things to navigate.
Yeah, and I think you hit on something that I've been talking to our coaches a lot about recently, mainly over Zoom, is that COVID doesn't mean we can't do a lot of the things that we've done. It just means, and as you said to me before we started, we have to get creative. But a lot of the time it means it's harder or it's more time consuming to do some of the things that we would accomplish. The challenge is that efficiency is so important in sports. And I think the other piece you hit on here is how much really goes into competing at an elite level and how much you have to take care of your body and your mind to be in that place, to have your peak performance when it's most important. And that's one of the lessons that I hope people take away from today is the amount of work that goes into having that elite level success is significant and comes with challenges. So that's appreciate you kind of detailing that for us, and certainly excited for what's ahead of you as you get through some more of these challenges. And as COVID at some point here, I think we're gonna figure it out as a society and as a globe, and we're gonna get control of it and get back to more of the things that we enjoy doing in the way that we enjoy them. So optimistic there. I would also tell our attendees today, you'll get a post email from this. Please feel free to respond. You get entered to win, again, some Duluth Coffee Company swag. So we'll have Emi, some of this headed down south to you there. Last question, tell us about what you would tell yourself coming up to Duluth before your freshman year of college. What advice would you give Emi Trost 6 or 7 years ago?
Boy. It maybe sounds cliche, but like I really wish that I would have like kind of believed right off the bat that was possible of myself, and like that I could go for those high level things. I think like I would tell myself like, yeah, there's a balance to just focus on the small goals and you'll get to that bigger goal. But I kind of wish I would have set those big goals instead of being afraid of possibly failing or disappointing people. I think it would just been like, just don't be afraid to go for it. Like, don't be afraid to fail. It's like you're going to fail, but shoot for it like you're not. I think that would be great. And then just to like not take the time with the people that you had for granted, because like, I look back at pictures and I'm like, oh, those were such good times and it's over, just like that. Like, so yeah, so probably those two things. And yeah.
Well, I tell our student athletes when I meet with them before each season that enjoy the ride. It goes by so quickly, and
Yes.
oftentimes it feels like, oh, I just got here, and the next thing you know, you're rolling into your senior year. So certainly respect that advice. Before I forget, as we wrap up here, Emmy, how many times did you achieve All American status?
I think it was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
It was one of those two, but I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
I,
the fact that you don't know is a testament to how much you're not focused on those things, that you want to have the great success and support your
yeah.
teammates as well. So super proud to call you a Bulldog. Thanks for making some time today. I know everybody enjoyed hearing from you, and of course, we wish you continued success. Stay in touch. Let us know what you're up to. And what we can do to support you, but always enjoy catching up and seeing my friend Emmy here, and we look forward to staying in touch with you. And any parting thoughts for the day here?
No, it was great to be on. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I mean, if anyone has like any other follow-up questions, like feel free to reach out to Josh and you can get in contact with me. I'm around in the Twin Cities working, going back to school, doing all the things. So yeah, love to connect with people in Bulldog country.
Love it. Well, good luck. We'll keep tabs on you. Keep stay healthy. Keep training hard, and we look forward to seeing your name high on those stat sheets.
Yeah, I'm gonna work at it.
Take care, Emmy. As always, go Bulldogs.
Go Bulldogs. All right.